everyone, Chen here, bringing you guys another video. Today I'm going to be doing a community Q&A. Basically, I went around social media and I asked for you guys to send in Akshan related questions, and we actually got a bunch. In this video, I'm only going to mention roughly 20 questions. If I didn't answer your question in this video, it's either because I felt as if it was redundant and I already answered it based on another person's question, or it just wasn't related to Akshan, right? There was a lot of people asking me related questions as opposed to Akshan. If you want to, feel free to ask that in the comments. I will still answer you. But with that being said, let's get right into the video. First comment we have is, what's the biggest problem with Akshan in your opinion? I think this one is fairly obvious based on, former videos that I've made, but biggest issue with Akshan, in my opinion, is the fact that he is trying to be a tank. He is trying to be an assassin while also trying to be a marksman. We see this through Cassante, that it just leads to a very, very big design flaw. And yeah, we can see that through Akshan as well. He has a very big design flaw as a champion. He doesn't feel holistically complete, if that makes sense. And I think that's the biggest issue with Akshan, in my opinion. This guy asked 3 questions. Where do you rank him as a mid laner? I currently rank him as an A+ to S tier mid laner. He's definitely still very good and he strives in a lot of cases. But because of what I mentioned earlier, how he feels like an incomplete champ and he feels and his kit is very flawed, you will run into instances where you cannot play the game regardless of how good you are as a player, which is, very, very big as a character flaw, right? So definitely an A+. I would lean more towards an A+ as an average rating, just because in higher elo, you are going to struggle in a lot of champions. They know how to play against you, and you are just going to find yourself unable to play the game in a lot of cases unless you're roaming. So, do you think he needs a buff, nerf, adjustment? I don't think he needs a buff. I don't think he needs a nerf. He could maybe use a slight nerf, but honestly, I don't think he needs it because of his weaknesses as a champion. He has very clear, defined weaknesses, and I personally do believe this. If you struggle against Akshan, you don't know how to play against him, or you don't know how to play the game. Despite that sounding harsh, like genuinely, he has such clear defined weaknesses that a lot of champions actually don't have, right? So, yeah, I would say he could kind of use a very, very tiny nerf, but honestly, if he does get it, it is just really, really hard to make him actually work as a champion. So, adjustment though. Adjustment is definitely something that he does need, in my opinion. I will make a future video about this based on what adjustment they can make, but he definitely needs an adjustment to make his kit feel satisfying and to make it so you can close the gap of champion differences. And yeah, that would make him a lot more playable. So lastly, is Akshan a good champ to climb with? Once again, I mentioned this earlier, but I definitely think he is a very good champ to climb with because of how chaotic solo queue is as a environment. Akshan with his camo res, especially in lower elos, if you're anything below diamond, you are going to just have a field day on Akshan if you have even the basic of understanding of roam timers. Next question we have, be honest, how shit is crit on Akshan right now? I assume you mean crit as in Kraken Collector IE. I would say crit is very, very shit on him. It is a fun build, but practical? No, it is not practical at all. Generally speaking, other builds are going to be more consistent, more viable, and just better if you want to win, right? So the issue with crits in general is the fact that 1, if they build any sort of armor, you are lacking damage significantly. 2, if you fall behind from the curve, you are going to be useless. And 3, it is expensive and it only works into like literally 5 squishy team comps. So that is why crit is shit. Next question we have is, I want to know how you play macro-wise. I see you roam bot top jungle to help snowball, but when should I roam? Does it matter on wave state, level lead, desperation plays? So the biggest thing to Akshan right now is I think he lost his lane bully status due to nerfs and item changes. So because of that, I think you just want to play him as a heavy roamer nowadays. I would generally say try your best to roam when your wave state's good. But even when your wave state is bad, if you are guaranteed a kill or you are needed in a number fight, I would still go for the roam even if your wave is bad, because you as a champion, you're prioritizing your res, you're prioritizing the fact that you get 100 extra gold if you kill a scoundrel, stuff like that. So it is very, very important to actually go for those roams, and that can easily change the game. Next question we have is Akshan early or late game champ? I definitely think he is an early to mid game champ. He is most certainly not a late game champ. You lock in any 80 carry towards the late game, and they're going to do what Akshan tries to do, but 10 times better and from farther range. So generally speaking, he's an early to mid game champ. You're playing for your first item power spike and you're playing for your second item power spike. And after that, you're going to slowly fall off. But, if if you build specific things like Stridebreaker, this can definitely be alleviated. So another question is, should you be a hyper roam mid laner? Yes. As I mentioned earlier, you should definitely just prioritize roaming, getting your other team ahead. Akshan as a champion cannot actually 1v9 by himself. You need other teammates ahead and you need bodies in front of you. So yeah. Next question we have, how do you effectively deal with long-range control mages like Syndra would be my question. Don't know if it's a thing that Akshan players commonly struggle with. Okay, so it is definitely something Akshan main struggle with. Champions like Syndra, Orianna, Victor are all hard matchups because of the fact if they know how to play and they know how to kite, you virtually cannot play the game. So how do I deal with them? I can't really effectively deal with them, believe it or not. It depends on the player, actually, which goes back to why Akshan Kit as a champion is just flawed. I have to rely on the fact that they don't know how to play the game. If they don't know how to play the game, how can I deal with them? E-start is your best friend. You do E-start against these champions. You try to chunk them to 50% level 1, and then you try to chunk them when you hit level 2 to like 20%, and either they back or you can potentially kill them. If you can't kill them, you are kind of screwed. At that point, if you cannot kill these champions, my best tip is to scale up, get Kraken, find openings, and just roam. That is literally it. All right, moving on to the next question. Do you value playing for your team more, less than playing for yourself? So this is a great question, actually. I value playing for myself in a reasonable manner. I actually do both. I don't know if this answered your question very well, but I actually do both. So I value playing for myself in lower elo significantly more, but in my elos, for example, Masters, Grandmaster, Challenger, I will value playing for my team more because of what I said earlier, how you cannot carry as a champion, so you need your teammates ahead. What do I mean by this? I'm going to play for roams, I'm going to sack waves for roams if it is a guaranteed kill, and that will help my teammates get ahead. Next question, how do you do the spin thing on Baron Pit? I made a video about this, but it is basically patched, so I wouldn't recommend trying this at all. Just don't bother doing the spin thing on Baron Pit. Next question, sometimes I get fed in game and then unable to win because they have a Neela, Vayne. Do I stop playing Akshan? No, that is not what you do. If you are against a Neela or a Vayne and you can't really interact with them, first and foremost, you can. It depends on how you play it. Second of all, it's a team game. Your other champions, you should be caring about getting your teammates ahead to where your teammates can deal with them. So when you press tab, you look for a champion that can actually deal with these champs. For example, this goes the same with Jax, this goes with Maokai, or not Maokai, Malphites. You're looking at what champion in your comp can actually deal with them. If you can't, you want to get that person ahead, if that makes sense. Next question, how do you deal with Anivia and Yasuo? Two matches I cannot understand, feel that I get roam, and I always lose 1v1, 2v2. So Yasuo, you can actually try to beat him. If you go Ignite, if the Yasuo is very bad, you will find timers where you can actually beat him. But generally speaking, it's very hard if they're good. All you're looking to play, I know you say you can't roam, but you actually can. If you feel like you can't roam in these matchups, try to sack waves for roams. It's fine. In these matchups, they're definitely hard. Anivia is a little bit easier. You play aggressive into Anivia early game, and you should be able to create a lead, but Yasuo is definitely, I can understand why you struggle with Yasuo. But anyways, you should definitely still try to force these roams. If they don't work, they don't work, right? Next question I have is, Yo Chen, is Lethality Akshan dead? New opportunity, first item into Kraken, Collector, IE, and Rapid. Is my new build and I enjoy a lot. What's your thoughts? This question is very redundant to what I answered earlier based on crits. I don't think it's good because it has the same weakness as crit actually. Literally the exact same weakness, right? If they build armor, you're screwed. If they're not squishy, you're screwed. And if you're not ahead, you're screwed. So I wouldn't recommend Lethality. If you are playing in lower elo or if you're playing for fun, then sure, it is fine to go. But generally speaking, if you're trying to climb consistently, I wouldn't recommend it unless they literally have just 5 squishy champs that you can absolutely 1v9 into. Next question we have is, what do you think is the most fun matchup and why? Most fun matchup, I'm going to be honest, I don't really care for matchups. I play for roams, as mentioned earlier, but the most fun matchup, I would say, it used to be Ahri just because you would... Literally, I would find myself solo killing Ahri level 2, level 3 almost every single game. But it has changed a little bit because Ahri's gotten a bunch of buffs and now she's actually a little bit harder to play into. But I would say Ahri's a pretty fun matchup because you just start E, you catch her like 30% HP from level 1. It's pretty chill. Next question we have is, does Mountain Soul Terrain help Akshan or hurt him? This is actually a very interesting question. I had to think about this off stream or off camera, but I do think Mountain Soul actually hurts him because it is placed in jungle positions where you get very good E-swings. You just have now a rock and you have shorter E-swing, so I do think mountain terrain actually hurts him. Next question, win build on Akshan crits, on hit, lethality, or on hit plus stride? Great question. I've done a bunch of itemization answers, videos, stuff like that, so I don't want to go fully in depth, but crits, almost never, once again, because of what I said earlier. On hit, you can go if they have like 3 to 4 tanks. Lethality, same thing as crit, almost never. On hit plus stride, that is the build I'm going every single game. I made a video about this. You can check out why is on hit bad on Akshan. That is going to go over literally everything as to why I think on hit plus stride is just superior than any other build. And that's currently what I run literally 99% of my games. Next question we have, who do you think is the most annoying champ to play against if they know what they're doing? That is a great question. It is very important that you pinpointed if they know what they're doing. Victor, 1000%. Victor, Syndra, probably tied, but Victor 1000%. In North America, I versed against Dunn, the #1 Victor in North America, and he knows how to counter Akshan. And when I say counter Akshan, he knows when he beats me, when he loses against me, making it 0% chance I can outplay him. Literally 0. I have 0 chance of being able to outplay him because of him knowing how our champ interacts, right? So it is extremely, extremely difficult. I would say Victor and Syndra. Syndra is up there as well. If it's a good Syndra, I do think Syndra is less oppressive because you should be able to find timers to just hard sub the wave, whereas Victor, he's just going to poke you nonstop, stuff like that. What's a secret Akshan mechanic that you think that if an Akshan player learned about, it would help improve? I would definitely say it's not even a secret mechanic. It's definitely, if you don't know it, you don't know it, but like it's not secret by any means. It's his R-E combo where you load up R, you press E, and then you release E, and then you release R. So basically you are shooting bullets while you're swinging, and then once you leave your swing, or not leave your swing, but once your R finishes, you're going to hit the E damage. That is a super important mechanic that you have to practice, you have to master, and it's going to help you improve a lot. Next question, being a one-trick pony as an AD marksman sometimes get me into a team comp problem. Even worse than a support. Do you face this problem? How do you manage this? So this is definitely an issue with Akshan. My best tip for you is don't really care about it. If you're running into an issue where you're full AD and that's the reason why you lose, I would prefer that to be the reason as opposed to you locking in a mage that you've never played before, right? So my best tip for you is just the fact that Akshan as a champion should be able to carry early to mid game to where full AD comps start to matter. So find yourself roaming, find yourself getting someone ahead, find yourself snowballing, and hopefully being able to end the game before the game ends, right? Next question, what is your advice for an Akshan main that feels like he has to do so much early? I feel like I mentioned this in the video before, but my best tip for you is don't panic. People panic too quickly if they go like 0-1, 0-2. Don't panic. You will be able to find roams. Let the opportunities come to you. You don't have to do too much. Once you get Kraken, you should be able to find opportunities. You'll do plenty of damage to actually, impact games, even despite you being behind. So find opportunities, play slow, play calculated is my best advice. Next comment is, you often say his ult is bad, which I agree. If you were to tweak it, how would you change it? This is a very good question. I think, obviously I'm not a game designer, but I think the best way to tweak it, and I feel like everyone would agree on this, is just making it so it doesn't get blocked by virtually everything. Whether that is it doesn't get blocked at all, besides champions like Caitlyn, or whether it gets blocked by specific things. I think his R needs to get not blocked by something. And obviously, if that were to be the case, you would nerf him somewhere else, right? Don't just like auto buff him like that. That's going to be a massive buff and he's just going to be S tier OP, but definitely tweak it in that sense. That's the only way to tweak his R. Yeah. And the last question we have is, why is Akshan always so high win rate without ever being nerfed at all, almost? This is a very good question. I would say Akshan is high win rate without being nerfed is because, now I do know that you're saying the OTP theory being disproved by Riot. I don't believe that. I do think OTP theory does play a part. Rarely will I see someone play Akshan if they don't know what they're doing. Akshan is a super niche champion, and I doubt anyone is going to first time him in ranked if they don't know how his E works, stuff like that. So I know the one trick theory is disproved by Riot, but I disagree with that. I'm pretty sure his win rate is high because he is genuinely played by proficient players, and also he is also a solo queue champion, right? Think about him in solo queue. He has very good solo queue tools to carry games, so that is another reason. So anyways, that is that. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to smash the like button. Once again, if you have questions, feel free to leave down in the comments below and I will answer them there. Thank you all so much for watching. Hope you all have a great rest of your day. Chen out.